First of all, welcome everybody. Thanks for attending our session. So in this session, we are going to talk about this initiative that's been going on for 5 years now. And it is the RDA CODATA Schools of Research Data Science. We've had our first school in 2016, and this year we are celebrating our 5-year anniversary. So the idea is that we could discuss about what we could do to make the next 5 years look as good as the first 5 ones. Okay, so these are the people involved in the initiative. We've had some other people that came and go, but these are the co-chairs that we have now. I'm not gonna, since most of them are here, so if you guys want to talk to any of them, then they are mostly in this call, so feel free to chat. Okay, so what is the motivation for the schools? So one thing that we can see a lot is the deficit that we have in data skills when it comes to low middle income countries. Okay, so there is this shortage of data skills in research, especially in research. I mean, if you're not coming from a computer science background, if you're doing some other kind of research, then you have got to know that there is this shortage. Okay, so most of the degrees, they don't really care about data skills. And so also the programs that we have right now, they're mostly characterized by short intensive courses. I mean, those really quick boot camps that you come and you spend like 1 day and then you learn how to program in a specific language or learn a specific technique for doing data analysis and so on and so forth. Okay, so they're mostly focused on specific skills. Okay, so we really think that this kind of approach is not going to solve the problems that we have in this gap between the people doing research and the people using data. Okay, so it's not just about learning data science per se. I mean, you can go to one of those boot camps and then you live with a new tool, but putting that tool in production in your research pipeline is not that easy. So in some cases, you don't really know who to talk to in order to get things going. Okay, so to cope with these problems, we pose a 2-week intensive school at which people are put together with their peers and we motivate them to work together. And so the idea is to create an environment that could help in making connections, friendships, and even longer collaborations. Okay, so it is a unique opportunity to meet people, and not just from your department or your field of study. Okay, so if you have a chance to talk to people coming from other backgrounds. Okay, so this is the picture from our first school. This was taken in Trieste, Italy. Okay, right at the back, you see the Adriatical Sea. That's a really nice place to go and to stay for 2 weeks, even if they have to work like a lot. But anyway. Okay, so the thing is that it is easy to learn things when you are in a classroom environment. So you can learn like a specific technique or a specific tool, but when you go home, it's not that easy to reproduce what you have just learned. Okay, so the idea is to create this support network at which we make people communicate to each other. So the person that you should go first in order to solve a problem that you have should be your peers. Okay, so this is the peer support is vital to the initiative. Okay, so the main goal is to create a community of researchers that have the foundational data science skills to work with data in the 21st century. Okay, this comes really, this really talks to the scenario that we have in low and middle income countries. but it's not restricted to. The principles of the schools are, we always tend to reuse materials. Okay, so we take what is out there and is free to use and incorporate, and also give back to communities whenever we make improvements and change materials. So the materials will always be available under an open source license, and most of the slides and hands-on sessions are on GitHub. Okay, the things that are not there is because maybe we forgot to update something, but in any case, it is all open, and we take the community spirit very serious. So if you find something that's missing, please do report, and we're gonna update the materials as soon as we can. Okay, so the schools, they work like in this synchronized typing, at which we have instructors teaching practical lessons, and the students, they have to follow those lessons. Okay, and we also have seminars with discussions, and also we do we make people to work as teams. Okay, so we promote a lot of team working. So the plan is that Trieste we have an annual event there, and it will remain a train the trainer event. Okay, we had just the first one, and due to the COVID situation, it had to go online. But I can say that, at least from my perspective, it was a very successful one. And the idea is that we grow these regional schools. Okay, so we're building this network of regional schools. And Trieste will always be the one that works as a, I don't know, a laboratory for trying new things and changing the format. And then we reproduce the format in regional schools. We've had like, I think it's 9 or something like that till today. But the idea is that whenever we do a regional school, we use as many regional instructors as possible, okay? And one thing that we also do is we recruit helpers and also students, and also instructors from the student body. I mean, we take the alumni and then trying to see if there's anyone fit to teach a specific subject and so on and so forth. And I can say that that really works because I've been a student at the first school. Okay, then I became a helper, then a teacher, and now I'm one of the co-chairs. Okay, so in one quick slide, this is what our curriculum looked like today. Okay, so we have a few really technical sessions, and we also have others that are focused on how you deal with open research. Okay, it's how you deal with research data management, how you publish, how you can be identified as the publisher of your results, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is what the curriculum looks like now. Yeah, so this is the map, the history of the schools that we had so far. So you can see that in Trieste we had 5 editions so far. We also have 3 in Africa. Okay, we had in Ethiopia last year, Kigali the year before, and at the beginning of this year we had one in South Africa as well. We've had 2 in São Paulo. Okay, December 2017 and 2018, and unfortunately the 2020 was cancelled due to the whole COVID situation again. And we also had one in San Jose last year again. Okay, so this is the history of the sponsorship that we've had. So we've worked with all these partners at some point. Okay, so but the ones that are, I don't know, I'm not gonna point any specific ones, I think. Okay, so what is the impact of the schools? So far, all of the work we've been doing is volunteer. Okay, so all the instructors, they are volunteers and they teach voluntarily. And so far, we've given like 250,000 pounds of free instructions. Okay. Many students, they come back as helpers or teachers in later schools, and that has happened to me and also to some of the other co-chairs that we have now. So as I said, we've had 9 two-week schools in 3 continents so far. And by the beginning of this year, by January, I think the 400 students is the count until January. I don't think we counted the ones that we had in the virtual session, the train the trainer session. But anyway, we've trained 400 students from over 40 countries until the beginning of this year. And what is the future for the schools? Okay, so we've had we do some planning for what we think that would be best for this initiative. So one thing that we want to do is to grow the regional schools, I mean, enlarge the number of regional schools, and also increase the regional autonomy level. Okay, so whenever someone is trying to promote a school in a specific region, then we try to give as much freedom as possible to those organizers to take the actions and make the decisions regarding that school. Okay, as I said, Trieste will remain a train the trainers, and also, as I said, a laboratory for experimenting new things. We've been working on the deployment of working groups to tackle specific challenges that we face within the initiative. Okay, I think that goes for most of the initiatives. So one of our main goals is to reach self-sustainability. I think this is one of the hot topics that we'll discuss right after I finish these slides. We also one of our goals is also that we could build this curriculum that could be taught in higher education institutions, especially when it comes to early career researchers. That means people that are finished their masters, starting their PhDs, and so on and so forth. So the plan here is also that this curriculum could adapt to colleges and faculties and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the list of the working groups that we have so far. So we come up with 8 working groups. So the first one will be the curriculum evolution. The next one will be the sustainability. The third one is the train the trainer. Then we have 3 working groups organized by continents. We have the 7th working group, that is the communication and external messaging working group. And one that's been doing a lot of work is the alumni. It's the alumni network working group. Okay, so the idea of this session, I mean, the dynamics of the session would be that I give this presentation, so you guys get acquainted with the initiative, and after that we are gonna host some discussion. Okay, so it's supposed to be 50 minutes in breakout rooms, and I have to check. Well, the list of participants is nowhere to see, so I'm not sure if we're gonna use breakout rooms, but I'll talk with you guys in a second whenever I stop sharing my screens. And after that, we've come up with some questions for each of the working groups that we could discuss in breakout rooms. Okay, so we're gonna summarize those discussions at the end for 30 minutes. Okay, so this is pretty much the dynamics of this session. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to see the list of participants.
So Raphael, there's still 13, so I think we probably stay together as a group. So
yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah. So I'm gonna start with the curriculum evolution one. Okay. So guys, I'm just gonna paste the link for the slides, and the slides has all the other links that you have to go to find the materials that I'm using. I'm just gonna use the chat just 1 second. So here's the links for the initial slides, and at the slides you can reach the links for the breakout discussions. Okay, so we're going to start with the curriculum evolution one.
Raphael.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, just maybe it might be useful just to stop and ask, does anybody have any questions?
Oh yeah, sure. So sorry about that. Yeah, so guys, if you have any questions, I would say that just please interrupt me whenever during my speech. I have no problem with that, but in any case, we're gonna make a short break and ask. Do you guys have any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can type on the chat box.
And as Raphael said, moving forward, this is really a discussion period. So please do chime in, ask questions, give advice, and everything. So we want this to turn into a discussion, not a presentation after this point.
I'll chime in. I'm new to this, and I have seen some presentations before about it, so I know a little bit about the history and all of that. But I didn't know necessarily that there was anything going on in the Australasian region. Can anyone give a little bit more information about that?
Yeah, so I better chime in at this point. Good question, Sarah. One of the working groups is in the Australasian area, and I've been tasked with that. I've contacted people to get involved there. Full confession, I haven't sort of pushed through on in terms of organizing follow-up meetings on that. If you want to, if you or other people are interested in finding out more about that, drop me a line and I'll sort of follow up with you there. I mean, so far to note, there was a kind of half school version of the school in Brisbane in 2018, I think. And we haven't done anything yet in the Asia, apart from that, from the Asia Pacific area. So that's kind of a place that we need to expand on and so on. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and to expand a little bit more, we've had some interest from Thailand and Taiwan and India, but we haven't actually been able to make a school happen there at this point yet, other than the partial Brisbane school. We caught you yawning there.
Sorry. I need to switch off my video. I'm sorry.
So Sarah, did that answer your question?
Yes, yeah. I wasn't sure if I was missing something, but obviously it's all just starting to bubble up, and obviously 2020 has had its way on a few things, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so could we does anyone have any other question, or should we move on? Okay, so we're moving on to the discussion itself. So I'm skipping to I'm gonna show a few slides about the current curriculum of the schools, so we know what to talk about during the first discussion points. So, okay, let's see if I can get this to presentation mode. Okay, so this should be quickly. And right now we have, these are the main components of the current curriculum that we have. So we have classes on open and responsible research, research data management, software carpentry, visualization, data analysis and machine learning, computational infrastructures, author carpentry, and also information security. Okay, you can find the full curriculum at this link. Okay, again, I'm gonna paste that to the chat. So this is our full curriculum. Okay, and the description of each of the classes that we have. Okay, so if you guys, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a good use of time if we go through each one of these components, but any case, you guys have the document. So I think I'm gonna leave like 2 or 3 minutes to read that one. Okay. So I'm not really expecting that you guys read the whole document. It's just to have an idea of what is taught during each of the classes. Okay. So you have the feeling what the school really looks like. So I'm gonna switch back to the slides. And okay. So regarding the program of the school, so the school usually takes 2 weeks. Okay, so it's a 2 weeks event, and we have a break during the weekend in the middle of the 2 weeks. So the schools usually take like 4 to 5 hours in the morning. So at some places it starts at 8:30, and at other places it starts at 9:30. Depends on if we can get the students closer to the place that's going to be that the classes will take place, and otherwise we start a little bit later. We still have 4 hours in the afternoon, and I know that also in Trieste we had a few later sessions. I mean, we had some evening sessions after 6 as well. So one thing that I think that really differentiate us from the usual boot camps that we have is that we try. It's not that we try. We always have ethical questions, ethics exercise at the end of each session. Okay, so we take like 30 minutes of each session, and we pose some ethical questions and make the students discuss those topics and report what they think that, well, given an ethical situation, then what you should do. Okay. We try to make them work as much as possible as a group. Okay. And this is the example of what the program of the schools look like. Okay, I'm just gonna click here. Again, I'm gonna paste the link in the chat. Okay. Again, this is just to have an idea of what the schools look like. Okay, so you can see you have a lot of subjects, so it's a very dense school. So it's 2 weeks of intensive work. Okay, so I'm gonna jump back to the slides. Okay, so we come to the discussion points. I'm gonna select like the ones that I think are more important, so we have the chance to discuss other points from other working groups. So one thing that I think is really important is the question that the answer to the question: how can the curriculum adapt to people with diverse backgrounds? Okay. Myself, I come from a computer science background. So for me, these topics, the technical topics, they seem to be a little bit easy, but we know that we have people coming from diverse background. So how could we adjust the curriculum to people with diverse background? I know that in South Africa, we have people coming from earth science background and social science background. And that was a very nice challenge to teach people these skills. Okay, so this is the first discussion point that I would like to discuss with you guys. Also, I'm gonna open the document that we have for reporting this discussion. Okay, so this is an open document, and I'm gonna try to write down the feedback. So the first thing I'd like you guys to do is to please fill the first session with your names and where you come from. So maybe we can get in touch later.
So Raphael, maybe even stepping a little bit further back than that. Has anyone, I'll ask the question, has anyone seen a curriculum adapted because it was not for its original audience? So something that was moved from from one group that it was created for to another group that may have not have been the original audience, and how did that go about being adapted, or what needed to be changed to adapt that to a new audience? And chairs, you can feel free to speak up also. Don't feel, though we definitely do want to hear from those other people in the room. I'm kind of curious if anybody has seen that. So something that was created for one audience and then delivered to another audience through modification, and what was required there.
So from my experience, I've seen there was this school that ICTP Safer used to give on, I don't know, it was a physics topics, and it was really heavy on data manipulation and so on and so forth. And there was this lady that was she was with the Our Ladies group, and she took like all the sessions that they had on the physics topics. I think it was like searching for dark matter or something like that. and then she could take all the practical exercise and use during an Our Lady's session for people that didn't have any background in physics. That worked really well because it was like a somehow practical examples that could be used for people to work on. So I think that that also helped with finding the data. I mean, it's always hard to teach these things when you have to take, I don't know, a specific data set and manipulate that. Okay, so I think it really helps people relating to that data if that comes from a real world problem.
And that's something that I think we've discussed before and is an interesting idea, though. It runs into some coordination issues, is having people bring their own data sets to the schools and then work with them as they go through the schools. One of the reasons that's really hard to coordinate, in my opinion, is that if we're bringing in regional instructors each time, then that coordination takes a lot of effort between those regional instructors to prepare and get set up. I think we've all considered this, how do we make the school, the components of the curriculum modules work better together and overlap each other more, but that, as I said, has its challenges in itself.
Yeah, plus I think there's that other issue that often, if you have a module and you have some description of it, an new instructor might come along and sort of say, yeah, great, I'll teach that, but you know what, I just want to kind of completely redo it and reinvent as well, which is fine. You get a different perspective on things. But you might sort of say there are issues with continuity there then.
Yeah, agreed. And that also, if you're too prescriptive, it takes away from the strength of the regional instructors that you invite, right?
Yeah.
So that has a both upside and downside.
Yeah.
I can chime in. So I teach the open and responsible research component on the schools, and both my curriculum and the research data management works best if we have case studies to discuss. And obviously that has been a big challenge in the schools because we have such a diverse student group in each school, which is great. So many disciplines are represented, but it's difficult then to find case studies that actually mean something to all the students in the room. So that's one of the reasons that the ethics curriculum in particular focuses on the ethics of using the tools that we teach the students rather than using high-level case studies that are located in a specific discipline, because it has proven a lot easier to get the students involved when everyone can get involved in discussing the case study rather than some students feeling that the case studies don't actually apply to them at all. So that's a kind of inverse to the discussion that's been had so far.
So Raphael, I will say that since we're going through all those, we'll probably want to keep to about 10 minutes or 15 minutes per working group, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think we have like well, I would say like 4 minutes still in this one. In any case, so I would just jump to the final two questions about I mean, if you guys looked at the program of the schools and you've heard of the format of the school, so I'd like to know if you have like something to add on that. And also if you see like something really missing at the curriculum. So having this feedback would be really good. Again, this document will remain open. So if you think about something later, then please feel free to write on that. So I see that someone wrote a topic on the previous one that was IoT data streams could engage people with their home environments. I'm not sure if that's a question.
Well, I run an Internet of Things lab at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And I find that, you know, and I know people interact with high school kids, and please forgive me, I'm in left field and I'm not even sure I should be speaking. But when students collect data of the world they live in, they get excited. And I assume that just transcends across everywhere. And, you know, we use Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, those kind of things. And, well, that was my thought.
So Bob, I think that's really good. And it's one of the things that we've discussed, especially at our Trieste event, where they have quite a large weather and climate modeling group. Could we use their, you know, maybe one of their, the sensor sets that's in the Adriatic there, and would that bring things home better? So I think you're on target, and we've been looking at those things. What pulls people in and gets them to care about the data a little bit more, because I'm of the opinion that you tend to put more attention towards things that you initiate and care about, and if that data, if you have some connection to that data, then you're going to learn more. So I think you're right on target there. Again, the big question there is, I guess, you know, how do we make that happen, and how do we make that happen for each school? We have kind of a lead on it in Trieste, but we don't have any hardware. We would have to depend on the local organizers to have some connection to that data or some way to produce that data. So I think it's something we definitely should explore.
Please forgive my ignorance, but the link I put on the LibreText, I've created a course on the Internet of Things. I call it the Internet of Science Things, and it's an OER, and anybody can take the material. And I'm one of the PIs on LibreText, and not that I'm trying to, you know, it's just one thing of many. But you know, those are I'm engaged with trying to make that happen, and if I can help. But I'm also concerned about how to enable the data streams to allow fair science to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's very easy for us to stream stuff, and we have modules where students can stream stuff up to Google Sheets, and and LibreText is used all over the world. And I'm not doing a sales pitch, trust me, I'm not. But it is an OER. It is an OER, and I hope I can help.
Yeah, we definitely well, you definitely, I think, have some ideas, and I think that we'll be engaging with you in this, both the curriculum evolution, but maybe some other areas. And if you're interested in that data interoperability and interacting with other systems, I'd also suggest you go to the Data Fabric session, which I think is Thursday, that really talks about data interoperability and how to give some long-term external standing to data sets that are not just, you know, as you said, collected into Google Sheets.
Okay, thank you very much. I was involved with an IUPAC RDA project at EPA about 3 years ago, but completely different than this. Thank you.
Gotcha. And I have your site up. I'll look into that a little deeper here as soon as we're out of this week.
Okay, so I think we should finish this discussion, discussing the curriculum. So anyone has anything else to add on that? Otherwise, we're gonna move to the next discussion points. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so the next
Raphael,
discussion.
do you wanna run the slides from the ones I put online, or do you want me to take over?
It's up to you. I mean, I can pass the slides when you request.
If you go ahead and let me share the screen, or if you let me share my screen, I'll do that one.
Okay.
I'll
So
drive that way. I can talk
Okay.
and move back and forth if necessary.
So I'm stopping share of my screen. Okay, so you can take over now.
Okay, and I want this one here. And you're probably not seeing. So let's go like that and see what happens.
I can see it.
Yep. So that's a really ugly link there, but I think we can just take notes continuing in your document if you want to, Raphael, rather than switching to new documents. So ignore that link, but we'll talk a little bit about sustainability of the schools and both where we've been and where we're going. And I think the theme today is the next 5 years, looking back at our successes of the last 5 years and looking forward to the next 5 years. So I think a lot of what we've done in this first 5 years is really establish a foundation. And, you know, it's always been said you can't build a strong building on a weak foundation. And I think we've spent a lot of time in this first 5 years building the foundation, and that includes several things. We've gotten a lot of organizational support and sponsorship, as Raphael said. Chief among those are both CODATA and RDA, and I would pull in a third there as the International Center for Theoretical Physics has done a lot for us in our initial events. But CODATA and RDA, they're in the title of the working group, but they also provide both funding. CODATA actually provides some additional things. They're a nonprofit that we send any sponsorship through, and they help us move things from the sponsor to getting events done and paying for actual real world things. RDA gives us this forum, but also has provided funding in many other ways and really has pushed our events forward. So those two organizations have been great, and ICTP for just hosting events has been wonderful, and we've used several other systems. So we've built that strong leadership group. I think about 2/3 of them are here today, maybe even 3/4 of them are here today. And I'm particularly proud of the leadership group in that, you know, half of that leadership group of 8 people, 4 of them started and came to their initial event as students. So we really are building up from the people who come to this. Lou has done some really good work on the alumni network. I'll let her talk more about that and won't stay on that. We do have a social media presence that seems to be getting the word out, a website that is newly developed and growing with several different functionalities, and we've recently gotten some volunteer support to help keep the content up to date. But I'd like to ask the group of, to think about, is there anything critical that's missing in this foundation? Are we missing some core tenet of a organization that really needs to be there outside of the people, the support, and then the presence on the internet? So, okay, I'll say that at least the group here thinks we have all the major pillars in place to build the group. And the kind of follow-up question is there anything that's needed but maybe not critical to the foundation? Is there a nice coat of paint that would help it look really good, but may not have a functional need of keeping this group going?
Rob, so I would like to just say that what we need to add is just formalizing the train the trainer. But I will talk more about that in a few seconds. But I think that is something that has been missing for the first 5 years. But I know we were just starting out and testing things, and yeah, so just formalizing the training.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think so one of the things for those people who are new on here, for the most part, other than the Trieste event this year, everything has been more of a train the researcher type event. And we really want to move into that train the trainer so we can increase the impact by training a group that can go out and do these trainings regionally. And as Bianca said, she'll talk more about that in a minute. But you're correct. That really does need to be a pillar so we can have an impact outside of, so our 400 can turn into 4,000, right? Without training the trainer, it's going to take us 10 years to get there. With training the trainer, it might take us a year or two to get there. So very good. Okay, so operational support. We have a website, a newsletter, an alumni network, social media presence. But is there anything, so to the group, is there a way to find effort and resources to maintain these? As I said, we function mostly on a volunteer basis. We hunt for grant money and sponsorship as often as possible. But we really would like to have a way to sustain these. One of the models that we're looking at and has paid off a little bit recently is doing these schools in high income countries and charging some fee for that, so then we can take that back and use that fee to both do this operational support, but also do other events that may not have that income to support the events. But are there any suggestions, or does anyone have suggestions on how we find resources to maintain these that are maybe a little more formal than find a volunteer within the community?
I was on the camera a minute ago, but not now. Oh, I hope I'm not muted.
Bob, did you have something?
Yeah, no, my wife was. I'm sorry, I forgot I wasn't muted. I'm eating dinner.
I understand. I understand. That's the COVID world is we have to do more than one thing at once. I finished my dinner during Raphael's talk, so understood. Okay, so as Raphael mentioned with the latest school, but probably the next few schools are going to be online schools. So there's some additional support concerns. Those are the video conferencing, the student registration systems that we previously counted on the hosting institution to take care of, but we may need to find another way to do those. And then there's additional training resources needed. Is there a way to adjust our sustainability efforts that really looks at how to do these online events? So in the interest of time, I'm going to move forward, though please do, if you have comments, let me know. And then there's, of course, enhancing capabilities. Does anyone have a funding stream or know of funding streams that support these type of events? And are there potential funders that we should be looking to that we haven't looked at before? All ideas are welcome and open here. We've hunted down many trees, or I guess we've barked up many trees, and sometimes we find something, sometimes we don't. But we're always looking for new trees to bark up. And there's somebody from Arkansas on here, so they'll get that they'll get that analogy, that hunting analogy, hopefully. So are there curriculum enhancements that maybe funders might be specifically looking for that we could modify the program to bring there? We've thought about various different sub disciplines. We do in Trieste run a bioinformatics school and a high energy physics advanced week and a data stewards program. So we aren't so tied to the curriculum that we wouldn't adjust it for a discipline specific group, but are there funders that look for that type of thing? And I'm going to move forward. How am I doing on time? I'm not watching a clock, unfortunately.
It's 5 minutes to the hour, Rob.
Okay, so I'll try to finish up in 5 minutes here. Moving on, are there enhancements that might, or what does anyone here think of what the enhancements are that might have the largest impact to the sustainability? So we've got a quiet group tonight, and I know it's late for many people. So,
Yeah. Just one thing to throw in there, Rob. I think, yeah, you said we're kind of looking at this place where we're going to have the switching to doing things on a much more online basis, and I think to reiterate, I think one of the concerns that we have is that we'll be delivering training to people where Zoom, using Zoom might be getting access to that is broadband access for that is non-trivial. So if anybody has thoughts about are there income streams or that could support that in particular, I think would be that would there be organizations out there which we'd be willing to say, oh yeah, we can provide support to enable that. We'd be really grateful to hear something from that on something kind of really specific like that. We haven't found anything yet, but if people have thoughts, that would be great.
I just had a thought, and it might be ridiculous because I don't know anything about it, but the carpentry's just got a whole stack of money from the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation. I don't believe they're short of funds. I don't know what you need to be able to get that money, but it could be an idea.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Sarah. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and I think we've looked at various calls for them, and I think we've sent out a lot of mails and requests that have fallen on deaf ears, and really from talking to people, what you need is just that initial foot in the door type connection. I think we can keep sending kind of attempts to get that foot in the door, but usually it's an introduction or something that does that first introduction, and we will continue. And Chan Zuckerberg is one that we have on our list of contacts. Though at this point we haven't gotten much of we haven't gotten any response, I should say.
Well, who knows? There might be someone within the carpentries who can be that step up if they've already managed to do that.
Yeah, I also think that there's going to be another big push for open data on the heels of COVID. I think there's a lot of people who understand that open data may have at least allowed us to start the research phases sooner than we started them on an international level. So I think that maybe we can benefit from something along those lines and tie it into, if this data is open and shared amongst researchers before it becomes politicized, maybe we can affect the trajectory of future global events. I'm not saying that we can, stop a event like that, but with open data, and I know I've seen talks from Baron Mons along these lines, that once data becomes politicized, if it's open before it becomes politicized, then the research community gets it before the public or the politicians who then spin it and do things in their direction. So I'm hoping there's a big open data push on the heels of the pandemic, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I'll stay in that place where I can have plenty of wishful thinking. Okay, I'm going to move into this, and these are a few questions that Hugh actually asked me to add to this. So we have this website, the media, the social media, the alumni letter network, and newsletters, and everybody should sign up for our newsletters. By the way, though I don't have the subscription information immediately at hand. Are there other ways to raise the profile of the schools? Is there other messaging that we can get out there? Outside, and we do talk at several conferences yearly, and I'm sure I'm over my time, but please list any other methods that you think might raise our profile, and what should we cover in those newsletters and social media bursts and such that might hook us up with someone who can help with sustainability. And I won't go into additional discussions.
Rob, I would just say just a couple of words about the topic that you just asked. So there is one thing that I think that could help us like raise our profile on social media. That would be starting writing articles and publishing it like towards data science or Medium or stuff like that. So I think that if we, I know we don't have the time, but every once in a while, if you have like those don't need to be like scientific articles or stuff like that. So just like writing things or opinions and posting those and identifying ourselves as the group that could help us.
Yeah, and you bring up an important point, especially going to online events. We usually get a few kind of testimonials from participants after each school, and those are a little bit harder to, I think, track down when you're doing it in an online environment. You know, you build a relationship when you're face to face, and you can say, "Hey, will you write a kind of your experience at the course or during the school?" And that's something that is a little bit more difficult, or maybe it's not more difficult. We just haven't been. It hasn't been at the top of our list when we did the virtual events. So something we should keep doing, but lends itself towards in-person events a little bit easier, in my opinion, than non. But you're right. Also, just kind of opinion pieces and you know, little. Not daily, but you know, write-ups here or there from either the chairs or participants or whatever they may be. It would also, well, I'll bring this up in alumni networks, and I'm going to stop so we have time to talk about the other ones. The other thing I did want to throw out there is, if you know anyone, and I mentioned getting your foot in the door to Chan Zuckerberg. So if anybody is you know, knows either of them personally, please tell them about us. Or if there's anybody else that you do know personally who works in a funding capacity who might be interested, send me their name. I'm happy to go shaking my cup at their door, asking for funding for this project, because I believe in it wholeheartedly. So I'll stop there and let you turn it over to, I think, Bianca's maybe coming next, and I apologize for going so long.
Yes, so the next discussion points will be on the Train the Trainer working group. Okay, so Bianca, it's up to you.
Thank you. Let me just get to the presentation. Here we go. Okay, let me just share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Looks good.
Okay.
Yes.
So mine is like really short. So I want to start off by stating the goal of the school, which Raphael also mentioned. We want to provide students, faculty, and research institution staff with the necessary set of data science skills to enable them to train early career researchers, so that the early career researchers can manage and analyze data efficiently and effectively. And so I want to focus on train the trainer. So I'm just abbreviating as a triple T. So the goal of this is to grow regional capacity so that we can have trainers in a lot of regions that are prepared to lecture, mentor, and provide support to future events. And they don't only have to train regionally, they can also train internationally. And so we also spoke about this briefly. We had the first and only Train the Trainer event recently. It was remotely due to the pandemic. But this was like a free-for-all, if I can use terms. It was a free-for-all alumni event. So the alumni who previously attended or helped at a summer school could join the session. We also had some new people join the session, but I think they felt a bit lost in terms of the curriculum and the format of the school because they did not experience this previously. And the format of this was we provided pre-recorded videos to the alumni. We uploaded that to a Google Drive and shared it with them. And for each topic that Rafael covered in the curriculum development session, we had 3 videos. So it was a review, the way forward, and then how to teach that specific topic, whether it be open science or R or Unix. And then we had 2 online sessions per day. It's not on the slide, but we had 2 online sessions per day, 1 hour each, for a specific topic so that we could accommodate different time zones. And then, as Rafael also mentioned, the core materials are available and we should reuse that and not make up new materials all the time. And so what should the next 5 years look like in terms of training the trainers? So we definitely want more targeted training, and we want to focus on the people that are interested in teaching back home and even internationally. And we want to leverage this regional or local experience to reduce the costs per event. So we tried this in January here in South Africa with the Pretoria School because we did not have a lot of funds, so we could not use the international instructors. And we managed to find a lot of instructors and helpers through the Carpentries Network. And it really helped us to save a lot of costs because they were there on a volunteer basis. But you have to keep the travel and accommodation in mind. So if you can find regional experience, you save a lot of costs. But so now we want to hear from you. So we want to really develop the trainer model. I'm leading that working group, but currently we are only 3 members on that task group, and I feel that I want to recruit more people, but I guess it will come when we train more people. So, but I have only 3 questions, and I think I'm going to go through all 3. No, let us do one by one. So the first question is, how should we provide training to the interested trainees? So we said that we want Trieste to be the trainer event every year, which means it will be in person, but we still have to keep this pandemic in mind. I'm not sure how long this will last. I'm not sure when a vaccine will become available. So should we consider in person and online, or maybe hybrid events? Should we do this during a summer school? Because the summer school is already intense. 2 weeks only with a break over the weekend. I don't think we should use that time for training people as well. They should take the break. Should we maybe do this after the summer school, because they will have an idea how the teaching is done? Any thoughts on this? I just want to share the, so are we going to continue with the notes in the same document?
Björk, you don't need to worry. I'm going to copy your questions to that document that you're showing, and then I'm going to write down the comments.
Perfect.
It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so any thoughts on this? How should we provide the training?
So just my opinion, and I've said this before, I think that probably everything for many years is going to need at least a hybrid component. I don't think that we're going back to a completely in-person environment anytime soon. It also increases the groups that we can come into contact with. So I think that that we have to adjust to have both a online and a in-person component going forward. Putting too many eggs in one basket, I guess, is going to lead to potential downfall. I don't think we can go away from either of them. So the answer is all of the above, I guess.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And then anybody else?
Yeah, I think also just to jump in again, doing things during the summer school, it's a good focal point for things, and maybe even for people who have attended a summer school and then went, oh, okay, hang on, actually be nice to learn about teaching things. We might pick up some more people in that respect as well.
Yeah.
Just to jump in as well, I think what would be really helpful for the schools were, as you say on your points, Bianca, if we had people who had formal experience in train the trainer in teaching the pedagogy side of teaching, but also people who had experience in teaching that online, it would be very helpful for us as the schools to get that expertise into these discussions so that we can learn from them as well, because we don't have a huge amount of prior expertise in those areas.
Yeah, no, that is true. So I'm not sure if you remember, but I did the carpentry trainer training in the beginning of this year, just after the Pretoria school. And yeah, so I'm a qualified trainer, but I was supposed to do training already. But with the pandemic, everything is just so crazy. So I'm not really active at the moment, but the training was amazing. It was really focused on the pedagogy. And I do feel that every single person that teaches, it doesn't matter at which level, even if it's elementary school, I really feel that people need to go through training like this. And I know a lot of people start lecturing and they don't have formal training in pedagogy necessarily, but they are specialists or experts in their field. But I do feel that we need this formal training. And it works great for the carpentries. It's the same, it's volunteer based, and you have people that are interested in becoming trainers. Yeah. Okay, so anything more on question 1? Okay, so I'm going to move on to question 2. Do you guys think that there should be some minimum requirements for someone to qualify as a trainer? Because it's volunteer based, we have people across a spectrum of disciplines and expertise levels and ages and whatnot. Do you think there should be like a list of minimum requirements in order for us to say, okay, good, you can train now? Because, you know, like with the Pretoria school, we got volunteers, most of them were lecturers at universities, so we felt confident in their teaching capabilities. But if we recruit master or PhD students with no teaching experience, should they complete, like we call it a checkout in the carpentry, should they complete like a list of tasks for them to check out and be badged as trainers? What do you guys think?
So on that topic, I like the idea of the people from software carpentry that you have to teach something in order for them to evaluate if you're going to be a good trainer. So I think because sometimes people don't have like a formal pedagogical training or something like that, but they're really good teachers. So if we could, I don't know, have like a test so people could teach this subject and then we go from there. I think that could help. I mean, raising the level of the trainers.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that, I mean, to speak kind of completely blunt, there have been a small number of cases where the teaching at a school that has been problematic, and things are never like things don't work 100% perfect every time and so on, but you know, I think there's maybe 2 occasions when really we kind of had to sort of step in and just take over the situation. So we definitely, I would agree with Bianca that we definitely need a vetting process that's there. I guess, you know, in high income countries, higher education, you know, PhD students usually are placed into some sort of training program, you know, for teaching. So there's something that's there. I don't know what the situation is like in low middle income countries on the other hand. But it seems to me that even still, I think we need to be clear about what our vetting procedure is, rather than, and I have to put my hand up and say, it seems like, oh, this person seems like they're reasonably on top of things, you know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I believe that, so we call it a teaching demo in the carpentries, where you teach for 5 minutes. We can even make it a bit longer. But I think it demonstrates their teaching capabilities as well as their familiarity with the content. Because those are also 2 separate things. You can be very familiar with R or Python, but you might not be able to convey a message clearly or in a way that people can understand. And we have to keep in mind that that attendees at the summer school, most of them are complete novices to all of the tools that they are learning. I mean, when I attended the first school in 2016, I did not know, like I maybe knew 1 or 2 things, but it was completely overwhelming. So we have to keep this in mind. The lecturers really have to be able to convey messages clearly and explain complex topics in a simple manner. So yeah, I agree with you. We have to decide what we want the requirements to be, and then state that clearly. Maybe add a menu to the new website.
So Bianca,
okay, if you have, yes.
I'm really sorry, but I mean, we're gonna have like 12 minutes for the last work group.
Okay,
so
sure.
I'm really sorry I have to cut you there. Otherwise, we're not gonna have time to discuss the other one.
Yeah. So the question is in the notes. If you want to add any notes or comments there, feel free to do so. Thanks.
Again, I'm really sorry for that.
No, that's perfect. Thanks, Rafael. I'm just gonna stop sharing now.
Okay, so we move on to the next work group discussion. That would be the alumni network. I'm not sure if it's gonna be Marcy or Lou that's gonna lead that.
I'm gonna start.
Okay.
I'm gonna share the screen. Just a second. But I lost the chat now because I was gonna paste the link. So there's a lot of intersections with what other people have talked before, especially in the train the trainer, and I think I'm gonna complete Bianca's presentation in the sense that I have to start stating the importance of the alumni group, the alumni network. This you might think, those of you who have not participated in the schools before, why is this group so important? And it's because this is the base of our model. If without the alumni, without convincing people to keep engaged with the schools, we wouldn't have new instructors, but also students talking to other students, convincing them that the school is a good idea. And that have worked pretty well in the regional versions, especially in Sao Paulo and San Jose. And I mentioned this too because I know them pretty well, but I'm sure in the African schools that have been the case as well. The group projects during the school, it's our goal is that the group projects during the school will continue after the school. And for that, we need to create the spaces. The alumni network has been led by Louise, who is with us today, and she has done a great job with I think 6 or 7 alumni from the schools that are not part of the co-chair group. And the objective is exactly trying to expand our network in the sense that we have more than 400 alumni right now, but the people who keep contributing, it's not the whole 400. So we need to keep knocking doors and try to engage people who have participated in the schools before, but also new prospective students. Among the alumni initiatives that this group has worked on, it's part of the website is thanks to their effort in the forum and the newsletter. We've had our first newsletter out last month, and the website, my internet is not working. The October 2020, and the website has been fed with a lot of information from our alumni. Also, the alumni map that with the help of Rob and some volunteers that he has been recruiting, it's been shaping lately. And Luis, do you want to talk a little bit more about the webinars and the translation projects?
Sure, thanks, Marcy. Yeah, just to go back to the alumni map, that really came out of a request from a survey we did of our alumni at the beginning of the year. It came out very strongly that a very, very high proportion of the alumni were in touch with people from their specific schools, but they weren't necessarily in touch with people from other schools. And this really got us thinking about how to visualize the fact that we have many alumni from many different versions of the schools coming from the same country. So we wanted to create a visual map of our alumni located around the world, so that it would not only allow them to, demonstrate that they've been part of the schools and to be regional expertise for people looking for data skills, but also that they could find other alumni in their countries and reach out to them and perhaps weren't aware of them. So that's exciting. As Marcy said, Rob's already doing that. What we also want to do is, one of the requests we had from the alumni was to have webinars that would be doing deeper dives or updates on specific topics in our curriculum. So we've partnered with CODATA Connect, which is the early career network for the broader CODATA network, to host webinars that come out of requests from our alumni population, so that we can respond to their desires for further training needs or updates on their knowledge. We've also started trying to do small projects just to get the alumni a bit more active and talking to each other. The first one we did was the COVID dashboard, which was a short data visualization project where you could take data from your country and visualize how COVID was, how the COVID cases were progressing at the beginning of the lockdown. And we had quite a good response from that. We had quite a lot of downloads, and definitely there was some discussion amongst the alumni communities about what to do. We have a lot of plans going forward. Obviously, we are trying to work as quickly as we can to get stuff up and running, but some things take a bit longer than others. One of the key things that we've just started thinking about is translating our training materials into different languages. In particular, we have a vocabulary list that we have developed that has all the key terms from all the different courses, all the different modules that we are trying to translate into many different languages, so that it become a resource for students who are learning in a language that's not their home language. Because obviously they get exposed to a lot of jargon over the course of 2 weeks, and it's helpful to have something that you can refer to in your home language and you can make notes on. So we're hoping that would be a start for a bigger dive into translating the whole curriculum into different languages. And I know Costa Rica is already starting to translate some of our materials, so we're very excited about having Spanish materials to start our translation drive. We'd also like to start a mentoring program between new alumni and either older, more established alumni, or the trainers coming that are training on the schools, to provide the alumni who are just leaving our schools with a bit more support. And then a key thing in relation to the RDA is we'd very much like to get some of the working groups and interest groups active in the RDA who are doing work in subjects that are interesting to our alumni to come and present to our alumni, or to facilitate better contact between the working groups and the interest groups and the alumni, to get our alumni a bit more integrated into RDA activities. So yeah, I think, and apart from that, we're very keen on getting the forum, which is now live on our website, to become an open space for discussion and for collaborative research opportunities and so forth. So we're really hoping that the alumni start making use of that opportunity, because it will be a great resource if it's properly used. Of course, the forum is going to require a bit of moderation, and any suggestions on how best to moderate a multidisciplinary, multi-language, multi-interest forum would be greatly appreciated. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say. As with the table that Marcy's demonstrating, if anyone has ideas or wants to volunteer for anything, or has some suggestions for things that we could do better or more efficiently, we would really like them. The working group at the moment, we are lacking some technical skills, because a lot of us are more based in research data management and ethics than in computational stuff. So anyone who, like Rob, volunteered to do the alumni map, any volunteers like that are also extremely welcome.
Thank you, Louise. And yeah, the table that Louise mentioned was our activity for this breakout group. But I think we're running out of time, right, Rafael?
Yeah.
So,
I think we only have like 2 minutes to just final thoughts.
So I'm going to leave the document open if you have any suggestions, especially those of you who have contacts with other RDA groups. What Louise mentioned is really important, to have that bridge between the work that we have done in the schools with other working groups and interest groups in RDA, and keep helping people make new connections. That's our main goal.
And also, as a plug, if anyone would like to give a webinar, we're always looking for topics and speakers, so please do drop me a line.
Yeah, and that's all, Rafael.
Okay, so thank you guys, and I have some final words about the map. I think that suits greatly for students to trying to find people that they could collaborate and they are close. Okay, so that would work like that. I mean, if people are looking for people, I don't know, in the same country, dealing with the same issues, then I think it's great that they could share. So the map would help greatly that. On top of that, if any of you has attended one of the previous schools or helped in any way, we are trying to gather data from people who attended the school to populate the map. Okay, so there is a survey that I'm gonna share the link at the chat. So if any of you attended a previous school and could please fill the form, that would be great. Other than that, thanks everyone for being here. And this has been a great session.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rafael, very good job
Thank you.
in leading this.
Thanks, Rafael.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks, Rafael. Much appreciated.
So
Okay.
from the non-speakers, and I'm talking Sarah, Bob, Gabrielle, Mohamed, Marie Louise, Mary, or Sergio. Any final comments before we depart? Because we really do want to hear from people outside of the core working group.
I just want to wish everyone all the best. It's such a great initiative, and it's amazing that you can do it with the volunteers. I imagine that's quite a big barrier for a 2-week commitment. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sorry about that. I'll just add on. So I'm with the RDA US office, and we definitely want to help support your initiative and help you host some webinars and do other things. And I've had a couple communications with Hugh about, you know, potential grant and things like that. So we're definitely interested in helping to support your work here. So,
great, thanks, Mary. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking a lot in the future about this and other things. So
excellent.
Okay, so I guess this is it. Thank you guys for being here, and talk to you soon.
All right.
bye, everybody.
Take care. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night, Europeans and Africans. Go to bed.
Yeah.
It's really late.
Go to bed.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.